Hello students and welcome to the e-learning program initiated by Sri Gyan Manji Vidyapeeth for the students of Standard 10, in which we are learning the subject of social science. Students, from the previous lectures we have started with chapter number 6, which is part of the history section in this textbook. So let's take a quick recap of what we have learned so far in chapter number 6. Name of the chapter is Places of Indian Cultural Heritage. In that we have learnt about, right from the starting of the chapter number 6 comes Caves of India, in which we have covered three caves: Ajanta caves, Ellora caves and Elephanta caves. Out of that, Ajanta and Ellora caves, they are in Madhya Pradesh, whereas Elephanta caves, they are in Maharashtra. Now, Ajanta and Ellora caves, they are quite famous. They have lot number of caves in them, and the caves are distinguished as per the construction of the caves. That is, either the wall paintings of the caves are uh, in separate section, and sculpting work is found in the rest of the caves. Then the caves are also divided into different religion, right? So lots of caves you'll find Buddhism, Jainism and Hindu caves also. Now Elephanta caves, they are situated a little bit into the sea, Arabian Sea, which is quite near Mumbai, and it's quite famous. Elephanta caves, they came to be known because when the Portuguese landed on that caves for the first time, they were welcomed by a huge single rock cut statue uh, of an elephant, and that is why they named this island as Elephanta Caves. And in the local language, they are also known as Gharapuri Caves. Quite famous for the interior of the caves, paintings inside the caves. They are quite beautiful, quite famous, and more famous for the uh, sculpting work of Trimurti. So these are the Ajanta caves, Ellora caves and the Elephanta caves. Then we learnt about the temples of South India and temples of Mahabalipuram and temples of Patadakal. All of them, they're quite famous, especially the works in Mahabalipuram and Patadakal. They are very famous all over the world. Then we came to know about the temples of Khajuraho, Sun Temple of Konark, Brihadeshwar Temple, which is one of the most important temples of the South India. Then we learnt about a whole ancient town, which was the capital of the rulers of that particular area, Vijayanagar area. No places known as Hampi. Now only the remains are there, but still you will find very beautiful, majestic temples made out over there. Yes, they are called monuments of Hampi. Then coming to the medieval age, we learnt about Qutub Minar, and we were learning about the Red Fort of Delhi. So let's continue today with the rest of the chapter. In the Red Fort, Shah Jahan had built a beautiful peacock throne for himself, which was known as Mayurasan. Sinhasan it was. Yes, a throne for itself. The peacock throne is famous not only in India, but the fame had reached outside India also during those times, because it was a very precious throne that Shah Jahan had built for himself, made of gold and studded with precious diamonds, gems, precious stones, etc. When Nadir Shah invaded India, he looted the peacock throne and took it back to Iran. Now, Red Fort is one of the finest buildings among the Mughal architecture. Mughal architecture is famous. All the Mughal architectural work done all over Delhi, Agra, Fatehpur Sikri, and lot many other places. Out of that, Red Fort is one of the most finest buildings that Mughal architecture has given us. Every year during the national festival on 15th August, that is Independence Day, national flag is hoisted and a speech is given by the Prime Minister from atop Red Fort. So, this building has quite a lot of importance. Even in the freedom struggle, Red Fort has quite a lot of importance. Next, we come to Agra Fort, the Fort of Agra. Agra Fort is located on the banks of river Yamuna in Agra city, that is Uttar Pradesh. Agra Fort is made up of red stone. So we find that red stone, because of its peculiar red color, it was quite famous among the builders, architectures, and the emperors and the kings. So you'll find lots of monuments that are made up of red stone. So Agra Fort is made up of red stones, hence it is known as Red Fort of Agra. Please don't confuse yourself. We just studied Red Fort, that is Delhi. Now this is Red Fort of Agra. Now, very important, it was built by Akbar. Date, that is year 1565 AD. He also built Jahangir Palace for his son Jahangir in this fort. In this fort, we can find a very beautiful palace made by Akbar for his son Jahangir. So we find Jahangir Palace. The name of the palace is named by the son Jahangir, and we find Jahangir Palace built for his son Jahangir in this fort, that is Red Fort of Agra. One can see the reflection of Hindu and Iranian style of art in Agra Fort. Now we are talking about Akbar because he made Agra Fort. So by the time, because basically the Mughals they come from Iran, so they will have the Iranian structure and style in their minds. But after the establishment of the Mughal rule, quite a lot of years later, Akbar comes. So by the time the emperors they start liking the Hindu style also. So in Jahangir Palace, you will see a mixed blend of Iranian style as well as Hindu style. The Hindu and the Iranian style in Agra Fort, whereas Bengal and Gujarat style architecture in Jahangir Palace. So we can see lots of experimentation being done over here because in the same palace we can see reflection of Iranian style, that is the basics of the Mughal Empire, and we can see a very rich blend of the Hindu culture over here, Hindu style also over here. But in the Jahangir Palace that was especially built for Jahangir, his son, we can see a very fine blend of the Bengal style and the Gujarat style in the architecture of Jahangir Palace. This is a very beautiful picture of the Red Fort of Agra. We can see it has quite a lot of height, and after that we can see construction done atop over here, yes, with beautiful trees even on the top of the palace. So it's quite a beautiful fort, and inside that we find Jahangir Palace. Now, important things to remember: Agra Fort is 17 feet high. The height up to which Agra Fort goes is 70 feet, and circumference, that means total circumference that the fort has, is 1.5 mile, which is somewhere around 2.41 kilometers. So the circumference of the fort is quite big. The walls of the fort are embedded with red stone so skillfully that none of the stone joints are visible. As we said, lots of experimentation was being done in the field of architecture during these times. So we know between two slabs of stone there should be something that joins them. So this fort has been so very much fantastically made, embedded. That means it was built, the stones were laid in such a manner that their joints are not visible. From outside it will look as if the whole of the fort has been made with one single stone, because no joints can be seen. Jahangir's son Shah Jahan had spent the last days of his life in the fort of Red Fort of Agra. This is also noticeable, and we have to mention it in our answer, that Jahangir's son, that is Shah Jahan, he spent his last days before he died. He was living over there in the Jahangir Palace, that is in Agra Fort. Now we come to the famous monument, that is Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal is considered among the one of the seven wonders of the world. It's a matter of great pride for India that one of the monument has acquired its place in the seven wonders of the world. Taj Mahal is located, we all know Taj Mahal is located in Agra. So, Taj Mahal is located in on the banks of river Yamuna, place Agra, which is in Uttar Pradesh. Taj Mahal is one of the seven wonders of the world. Also, it is one of the best tombs of the world. Yes, we should remember that Taj Mahal is not only a monument but it's also a tomb. We all know what's a tomb. Tomb is where the dead body of the person is laid down, and around it or upon it a whole of the monument is made, which is called a tomb. For it's basically for the remembrance of that person, everlasting or immemorial remembrance of the person. Mughal king Shah Jahan, that is the grandson of Akbar. We know, we just studied in Red Fort that Jahangir's son, Akbar's son is Jahangir, Jahangir's son is Shah Jahan. So for Shah Jahan, Akbar is the grandfather. Mughal king Shah Jahan, that is grandson of Akbar, constructed it in the memory of his queen Mumtaz Mahal and named it after her as Taj Mahal. It is said that Shah Jahan loved his wife Mumtaz Mahal so much that after Mumtaz Mahal died, he decided to make a tomb and forever make the name of Mumtaz Mahal immortal, and also Taj Mahal is also called a symbol of love because basically Shah Jahan had got it built for his beloved wife Taj Mahal as a tomb. So Taj Mahal is a tomb, that is a Maqbara. In Hindi we call it a Maqbara, English we call it a tomb of Mumtaz Mahal. Now let's see the construction. Shah Jahan started its construction in 1631 AD. Please remember these dates. After his beloved wife Mumtaz Mahal died in 1630 AD. So Mumtaz Mahal died in 1630 AD, and after that Shah Jahan decided to build a maqbara or a tomb for her, and the work started in 1631 AD. It took 22 long years to complete the Taj Mahal. Yes, those of you who have visited Taj Mahal and seen it with their own eyes, it's a mesmerizing beauty. Yes, and it took 22 long years to build Taj Mahal. Of course, in those days, science and technology not that much advanced. So basically, all the work has to be manual, right? And we know that whole of the Taj Mahal it was built by using marble. So the marble has to be very skillfully given shapes, etc. So it took 22 long years to complete Taj Mahal. Construction of the work got over in 1631 plus 22 years we get 1653 AD, right? So just remember these four things. 1630 AD, Mumtaz Mahal died. Next year, 1631, the construction of Taj Mahal started. It took 22 years. So 1631 plus 22, that makes 1653 AD. Yes, you remember that in that way. It's quite easy to memorize it. Yes, you try to memorize the dates, it becomes quite difficult. Shah Jahan hired expert Indian, Iranian, Arabian, Turkish and European sculptors and artisans for building the Taj Mahal. We have lots and lots of rumors for that, but basically what we want over here is the different styles that were used in making of Taj Mahal. So lots and lots of artisans and sculptors, their services were used for making Taj Mahal. You can see Indian sculptors at work, Iranian sculptors, even from the European countries, artisans and sculptors were called. Turkish also, that's the basics for the Mughal Empire, right? So from all over the world, famous artisans and sculptors were called to make Taj Mahal, and that is why we can see the exemplifying beauty of Taj Mahal. Shah Jahan deeply wished to make Mumtaz Mahal's name immortal. All this he did for his beloved wife. So, you can say that's why we say that Taj Mahal is a symbol of love, because Shah Jahan loved his wife so much that he wanted to make the name of his wife Mumtaz Mahal immortal which can never die, right? By building Taj Mahal and finally achieved his wish. So he built Taj Mahal and sorry, spelling mistakes over here, and finally achieved his dream. The Taj Mahal is spread in a rectangular shape from north and south. We are still explaining the construction. Yes, this is a 4-mark question and all the details should be filled in. So Taj Mahal is rectangular, spread in a rectangular shape from north towards south. That means entry point is southward and the Taj Mahal faces the south. But actually whole of the entrance is in south and you go towards north. The grave of Mumtaz Mahal lies at the center of the Taj because it's a tomb. So the grave of Mumtaz Mahal resides in the center of the Taj. The grave is surrounded by beautiful artistic octagonal fence carved out of stone. Octagonal fence having 8 sides. Alright, so octagonal shaped fence surrounds Mumtaz Mahal's grave. A beautiful saying is inscribed on one of its arch. On one of the arcs, beautiful saying is inscribed. Pious hearts are welcomed in the garden of paradise. Pious hearts, pious, pure, sacred hearts, truly beautiful hearts are always welcome in this paradise of Taj Mahal. The architecture of Taj glorifies the rich heritage of India and the highest epitome of Mughal architecture. So, Taj Mahal not only depicts love, but it's a beautiful piece of work. So, the architecture of Taj Mahal, it glorifies the rich heritage of India that India has and the highest epitome of Mughal architecture. We can see epitome the highest place, right? Or one of the best. So, or you can say if you want to say Mughal Empire and architecture, you just imagine Taj Mahal. That's it, complete, right? This is the height of Mughal architecture. The grandeur of Taj attracts thousands of people all over, not only all over India, but from all over the world also. And here we can see a beautiful picture of Taj Mahal, yes, with 4 minarets, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and in between stands the Taj with the Iranian style of Gumbaj, that is the top, the circular dome on, semicircular dome on the top. Next, we come to Fatehpur Sikri. Fatehpur Sikri is also a beautiful work of architecture from the Mughals again. Fatehpur Sikri is a small place which is just 26 kilometers away from Agra in Uttar Pradesh. Akbar shifted his capital from Agra to Sikri in 1572 AD in memory of the Sufi saint Sheikh Salimuddin Chishti. In the memory of Sheikh Salimuddin Chishti, Akbar he shifted his capital from Agra to Fatehpur Sikri. So we have discussed this earlier also that many of these sultans and rulers of the Mughal Empire, they kept on shifting their capital, right? Some kept their capital as Delhi. In Delhi also, lots of small places in and around Delhi, they made their capital. For example, Shah Jahan, he made Shahjahanabad in Red Fort, and he made his capital over there for some time. So Akbar, his capital was in Agra, but then after Fatehpur Sikri was built, he shifted his capital from Agra to Fatehpur Sikri in the memory of Sheikh Salimuddin Chishti in the year 1572 AD. The building construction of Sikri started in 1569 AD and got completed in 1572 AD. Within a span of just 3 years, whole of the city was built. The best building of Sikri, because Fatehpur Sikri is a whole small place, so there are lots of smaller structures over inside. The best buildings of Sikri, that is Fatehpur Sikri, includes Palace of Birbal, Golden Palace of Bibi Mariam, Palace of Turkey Sultan, Jama Masjid, and Buland Darwaza. So, Fatehpur Sikri houses six more buildings. This is the Palace of Birbal 1, Golden Palace of Bibi Mariam 2, Palace of Turkey Sultan 3, Jama Masjid 4, Buland Darwaza 5, and whole of the structure together. That means Fatehpur Sikri. Whole of that. Out of that, we can see the picture of Buland Darwaza over here. It's quite huge, big, tall, and it has wooden gates. Those gates are made from wood which can sink. So that's a beauty. Buland Darwaza, meaning very huge gate. Buland, quite big. Darwaza, gate. Okay. Meaning very huge gate is 50-meter high and 41-meter wide. The other well-known and remarkable buildings of Sikri are Palace of Jodhabai. See, we again come to more smaller buildings over there. First is Palace of Jodhabai, then Panch Mahal, then tomb. It should be tomb of Sheikh Uddin Chishti, Diwane Am, Diwane Khas, and Jyotish Mahal. See, another one. So we already learned 5, 6 in the earlier one. That is Fatehpur Sikri has Palace of Birbal, Golden Palace of Bibi Mariam, Palace of Turkey Sultan, Jama Masjid, and Buland Darwaza. On top of that, other small buildings housed are Palace of Jodhabai, Panch Mahal, tomb of Sheikh Salimuddin Chishti. Then, because it was his capital, so there will be court for the ministers and court for the population, that is general public. So Diwane Am and Diwane Khas, and the last one is Jyotish Mahal. Because by this time the Mughal emperors, they were quite interested in astronomy, astrology, etc. So a separate mahal for Jyotish, that is Jyotish Mahal. Now we come to cathedrals. Now we come to Goa. Portuguese. Goa means Portuguese people because it's their religion, Christianity. So when they came to India, started conquering parts of India, made Goa their main center of business, and later on captured whole of Goa and started making it their colony. When they colonized it, they made it their headquarters. So basically lots of forts we can see made in Goa. For example, fort of Diu, Daman. So these are all the places that were captured by the Portuguese, and for their, because at that time the French were also there, the Britishers also had come, so they had to protect themselves, so they made lots of forts. And by religion, they are Christian, so they built lots of churches, and famous churches are made over there. So cathedral means a church, churches of Goa. The Christian missionaries are those people of the church, officials of the church, who go from place to place, teach and preach and spread the religion, so, and convince people to come to Christianity. So they are called missionaries. So the Christian missionaries along with Portuguese came to India to spread Christianity. Portuguese considered Goa as their pride as well as capital in India. You can see beautiful church. This is the main cathedral of Goa. Together they built many churches. That means the Christian missionary and the Portuguese authority in Goa, both of them. Together they built many churches in Goa. The famous one includes, these are the two most famous one. One is Basilica of Bom Jesus and another is Basilica of God Jesus in Old Goa. Yes, Goa, New Goa, that the parts which earlier belonged to the Portuguese, and then they spread the area and whole of the Goa was colonized. So the Old Goa, where density of the population of the Portuguese people was more. So that is Old Goa. So these two churches are quite famous. Please remember the name, Basilica of Bom Jesus and Basilica of God Jesus. Both are in Old Goa. The relics of Saint Xavier's, that is Saint Francis Xavier's. Now relics we already understood. The part of the body of the God, Lord, or his main disciples, they are kept preserved. So that's called relics. So the relics of Saint Francis Xavier are preserved in a coffin at the Basilica of Bom Jesus. And uh, after Saint uh, Francis Xavier, he died. The body was mummified. Miraculously, his dead body has not decayed even after so many years because the body has been mummified and kept in a coffin over there. So, miraculously, the dead body has not decayed even after so many years. Goa is well known all over the world for its beautiful beaches and artistic churches. Today also, lots and lots of tourists from all over the world, they come to Goa. People in India also during vacation at for recreation, they go to Goa to enjoy the climate of Goa, the beaches of Goa, and they enjoy a lot. Now we come to places, that is monuments of cultural heritage of Gujarat. We'll put a star mark over here because this is one of the important questions in this chapter. Yes, one important question is Taj Mahal, next one is Red Fort of Delhi, third one is Champaner. Champaner is a historic town situated in the foothills of Pavagad Mountains of Halol Taluka in Panchmal district of Gujarat. So need to know the location perfect. Champaner. This is a town. It is situated on the foothills of Pavagad Mountains. Pavagad is in Halol Taluka, which is part of the Panchmal district in Gujarat. Now there are so many monuments over there in Champaner, and each one of them, they are quite unique. So rather than picking up one by one, whole of the town of Champaner was declared as World Heritage, and it's really a matter of pride for Gujarat and India that whole of the town is selected as a World Heritage and has been declared as a World Heritage. This is one of the mosque with minarets of Champaner. The young Sultan of Gujarat, Muhammad Begra, defeated the Champaner army and renamed it as Muhammadabad. We all know the capital of Gujarat earlier times was Ahmedabad, and it was ruled by Muhammad Begra. Muhammad Begra, many a times he tried to conquer the parts of Champaner, but he was not successful. Yes, then Muhammad Begra defeated Champaner army and conquered it, so he renamed it as Muhammadabad. Then he shifted his capital from Ahmedabad to Muhammadabad. The famous buildings of Champaner include, please remember, Moti Masjid of Champaner, Jama Masjid of Champaner, and the historical fort of Champaner. These are the three main monuments of Champaner which are quite famous. Regarding Jama Masjid, one thing we made clear that as the Hindu religion has Shiva temple in almost all villages, towns, big cities, small cities, mega cities, we have lots and lots of important Shiva temple, right? So we just call it Shiva temple, but then each and every Shiva temple has its own name, and then it is known by the city also. So same way, Jama Masjid, you will find it in major cities of India, right? So Jama Masjid, but then we have to remember the name of the city along with the Jama Masjid. For example, Jama Masjid is in Ahmedabad also, right? Now here we have Jama Masjid, which is in Champaner, and the historical fort. Considering art, architecture, and historical importance of Champaner, remember the organization which declared Champaner as World Heritage. UNESCO is the organization. It has declared this town as a World Heritage Site. Then we come to the architecture of Dholavira and Lothal, both of which we have learnt in the chapter number 2. Right? So here there is just a mention, but we have to remember that these are not only important places of historical importance. They are also the archaeological, because archaeologists, they have excavated the sites further and they have preserved it, right? So architecture of Dholavira and Lothal are both main cities of the Indus Valley civilization. First we come to Dholavira. We have learnt about it. Dholavira is situated in the Khadir at Bhachau Taluka in the Kutch district of Gujarat, and so far it is known as the ideal town of planning, because we have seen the planning of Dholavira and Mohenjo-daro in depth. Mohenjo-daro because it shifted into Pakistan, so now we have its parallel, that is Dholavira. Its Harappan culture was quite famous as the center of commerce and trade. Archaeologists discovered 5,000-year-old bead and ornament making factories in Dholavira. Dholavira is famous because bead making and ornament making out of beads is quite famous over here, and we have found factories which produce them in large number. Next we come to Lothal. Lothal, we know, situated on Ahmedabad Bhavnagar highway in Dholka Taluka of Ahmedabad district. Lothal, it was a very important port, and its rich architectural site. It depicts the great Indus Valley civilization. It was a very main center of trade and commerce, also developed as a full facilitated port of Harappan culture in the ancient times. This we have already learned. Next, we come to historical importance of Junagadh. Junagadh district has quite a lot of historical sites and architecture, such as, we have learned this in chapter number 1, stone inscription of Ashoka. Yes, and the material also you'll find an image of the big huge boulder of stone which was inscribed, and that is the stone inscription of Ashoka. Then we have Buddhist caves of Kaprakodia on the foothills of Junagadh. Wow, that is a step well. Old Raj Mahal, Naugan Well, tomb of Bahauddin Wazir, etc. These are all the historical places of Junagadh, and all of them are quite famous. You should remember the names one by one. Again, stone inscription of Ashoka, Buddhist caves of Kaprakodia, wow, that is the stepwell, old Rajmahal, Naugan Well, tomb of Bahauddin Wazir, etc. So, Junagadh is also famous for Bhavnath fair held during the Mahashivratri on the foothills of Girnar. This is from chapter number 1. Yes, the Bhavnath fair, which is held at foothills of Girnar mountain. The picture you can see is the famous tomb of Bahauddin Wazir. Architecture of Ahmedabad. A little bit confusing because we have lots and lots of places belonging to having lots of historical importance built during quite old times. So, architecture of Ahmedabad. These are the places of cultural heritage of India. Then we come to cultural heritage of places of cultural heritage of Gujarat, and now we come to the places having cultural importance, having lots of architectural importance, that are situated in Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad can be considered as one of the historical cities of Gujarat because it was a hot seat of power. So lots of rulers came and went away, and all of them, they made different archaeological sites, or lots of monuments over there. So we can see beautiful monuments been made over here. Ahmedabad has rich ancient heritage consisting of, first one, Bhadra Fort. Then we have Jama Masjid of Ahmedabad. Then Mosque of Queen Sipri. Rosa of Sarkej. It has quite a Rosa of Sarkej has quite a lot of importance, right? Then Kakaria Lake. All of us must have seen it. The shaking minarets, that is Julta Minara. Shaking minarets, there are two minarets. You climb and do any movement in one of the minarets, the vibration will pass from the ground to the second minaret, and the vibrations can be felt over here, right, in the second minaret. Yes, it's still a mystery. Lots and lots of people, scientists, geologists, they all came over here and tried to find out the mystery behind it, but till date the mystery is intact. We still didn't know about that. Sidi Sayed Grill or Sidi Sayed Ni Jali. Yes, a very famous uh, piece of uh, stone carving that depicts vegetation, vines, right? That is Sidi Sayyadni Jali or the grill. Then temples of Hatisi. Temples of Hatisi. It should be H here. Temples of Hatisi. They are Jain temples of Hatisi. Quite beautiful. We have discussed about it in the previous chapters. Yes, beautiful Jain temples decorated with sculpture. Not a single inch of the mandir is left inside or out the main temple. Anywhere you put your finger, you will have beautiful sculpting work done over there. That is temples of Hatisi. Then Mosque of Queen Rupmati, etc. The shaking minarets outside Sarangpur Darwaja in Raipur, Gomtipur shakes when they are pushed. Yes, we are not going to push it. Till date, no one is able to find out how they shake, and even they break and stand still, only the vibration is felt. Nowadays, not allowed to go inside. Yes, the Sidi Sayed grill is famous for its vegetation, geometrical, minute carving done on stone. This is the Sidi Sayed Nijali, a beautiful vegetation, minute carving is done. Patan. Patan is very rich in architecture. Please remember these three, four names. Sahasraling Lake of Patan. Then we have Stepwell of Queen, that is Rani Ni Vav. This is also Rani Ni Vav is included in the World Heritage. It is a very, very beautifully made wow or a stepwell. Third is Rudra Mahalay Temple of Sidhpur. These three, please remember these three names. They are very important architecture in Patan. One is Sahasraling Lake. Second is Queen Stepwell of Queen, that is Rani Ki Vav. And the third is Rudra Mahalaya. It's one of its kind. Rudra Mahalaya is one of its kind in India. That is in Sidhpur. They are worth seeing architectures of Patan. The ruins of Rudra Mahalay temple in Sidhpur depicts the grandeur of Sidhpur, which is located only 26 kilometers away from Patan. Sidhpur is very famous town which is only 26 kilometers away from Patan, and the remains of Rudra Mahalaya, they are found over there. Rani Ki Vav was built by, please remember who? Rani Udaymati, the queen of Bhimdev I. We have come across this Raja, right? Bhimdev I. First, the queen was Udaymati, so that the people of kingdom can get clean drinking water. UNESCO declared Rani Ki Vav as a World Heritage the year 2014. 2014, UNESCO declared Rani Ki Vav or the Vav of the Stepwell of Rani as World Heritage in 2014. This vow is a proof of innovative and excellent water harvesting system that existed in ancient Gujarat. These vows are made in such a way that during rainy season, the water from the surrounding area automatically flows into the vow, leveling up the underground water level, and the vow gets filled up. So it's enough water for the residents of those areas during the ancient time, during the summer season. Siddharth Jaisi, he was the one who built Sahasraling Lake way back in 1140 AD. This is a beautiful pic of Rani Ki Vav, which was declared by UNESCO as World Heritage Site in 2014. We can see the steps. Yes, steps are from this side. Entrance is from this side, but we can see the depth of the wow. Right? It's a very beautiful wow. Places of cultural heritage of Gujarat. Gujarat is famous for its rich and varied heritage culture. The names that we just learned, we can put it over here. Sahasraling Lake, Stepwell of Queen Ranini Vav, Rudramalai, Temple of Sitpur, they are worth seeing. Architecture of Patan. Again, we have the same thing. The ruins of Rudramal temple in Sitpur depicts the grandeur of Sitpur, which is located 26 kilometers away from Patan. With this, we come to an end to today's lecture. Thank you, students. Now, we have to put whatever we learned in this chapter in one place, that is for Ahmedabad, then Gujarat. Ahmedabad has rich ancient heritage consisting Badra Fort, Jama Masjid, Mosque of Queen Sipri, Rosa of Surkaj, Kankaria Lake, Shaking Minarets, that is Julta Minara, Sidi Sayed Grill, that is Jali, Temple of Hatisi, Mosque of Queen Roopmati, etc. Dholavira, very famous, ideal town planning, Harappan culture, very important town for trade and commerce. Archaeologists discovered 5,000-year-old factories for making bead ornaments. Over here, on the other side, Lothal, it's one of the famous architectural site of the Great Indus Valley Civilization. Buildings of Champaner include Moti Masjid, Jama Masjid, and the historical fort of Vadnagar, Sarmishta Lake. Arcs of monuments are worth seeing. The arcs are created on the two erected pillars, creating a bow-like shape. Arc is a bow-like shape on top of two standing erect pillars. Shamlaji temple near Meshwar river is also an ancient place for pilgrimage. There are many stupas, viharas built in Gujarat during the Kshatrap period. The remains of Buddhist stupas can be found. Please pay attention. Bodevi of Gujarat district, Devni Mori near Shamlaji. You can find Buddhist stupas over here. Itwa stupa in Girnar near Junagadh, etc. Gujarat also boasts of many other architectures such as Devani Mori, that is a stupa, Baba Pyara caves, Upper Court, Khapra Khoria. Many of them are Buddhist caves, many of them are Jain caves. Khambaliya, Talaja, Sana, Dhak, Jinjurijar, Kalia Dungar, all of these we have already studied in one of the previous chapters. We know the name. Ancient Jain temples that are situated at Shethrunji mountains of Palitana district, Bhavnagar district, are extremely artistic and a very famous pilgrimage for the Jains. Few of these temples were built way back in 11th century. Taranga is another Jain pilgrim situated on the hills near Timba village at Kerala Talaka in Mehsana district. A very important pilgrim place for the Jains. The temple of Taramati is also situated over here. Somnath temple at Gir Somnath district and Dwarkadish temple of Devbhumi Dwarka. They have a very interesting historical heritage and a very beautiful historical place. Thus, Gujarat boasts of lots of rich and prosperous cultural heritage. Now we come to World Heritage. UNESCO's endorsement affirms. UNESCO has declared lots and lots of sites in Gujarat as World Heritage Site. When UNESCO endorses means it names a particular site or gives authority, authenticates it as a World Heritage Site. Instantly it gets famous all over the world and people come to see a site which has been declared by the UNESCO as World Heritage Site. Yes? So, India is a treasure house of rich cultural heritage. A number of rulers belonging to India and several parts of the world, they ruled various parts of India. These rulers, they constructed lots of large number of monuments, palaces, forts, temples, mosques all across India. Moreover, India also has natural heritage sites also. So, looking to the rich cultural and natural heritage of India, the UNESCO, which is a world level organization, has declared, please keep in mind the number, 32 monuments of India as World Heritage Sites. How many sites does India have which are declared as World Heritage Sites? The total number is 32 different sites which are declared as World Heritage Site by UNESCO. Taj Mahal, Red Fort, these are the few of them. Taj Mahal, Red Fort, Elephanta Caves of Maharashtra, Chapaner of Gujarat, Rani Ki Vav, etc. They are all part of the World Heritage Site. Thus, UNESCO strongly believes that India's culture and heritage is very rich and endorse them to make India proud. With this, we come to the end of this chapter and today's lecture. Thank you, students.